Welcome back to another episode of STEM in Stilettos. This is your host, Zofia Morales, and today we are going to discuss the art of reinvention from global tech executive to biotech beauty pioneer. Our guest today started in one world and swung wildly to another world. And if you've had any kind of a weird or winding career, today is definitely the day for you. If you've been thinking about switching and wondering how these transitions go, you've also arrived in the right place. Today we're discussing this with Jasmin El Kordi. She's an accomplished senior executive, entrepreneur, inventor, and board member with over 35 years of success in technology and health and beauty sectors. Her career includes global leadership positions at Cisco and NCR. As a co-founder and CEO of MBLue Labs, Jasmin is pioneering science-driven solutions at the intersection of longevity, health, and beauty. Under her leadership, the company has developed the innovative consumer brand Blue Lean, a patented anti-aging skincare and next-generation hair growth brand. Jasmin has served on the board of directors of the Women's Center since 2006. She's driven by a lifelong commitment to empowering others and helping people live healthier lives. She earned her BS in Business Administration, summa cum laude, from the University of Maryland. Jasmin is also a devoted mother of two sons, an enthusiastic traveler, hiker, CrossFit athlete, and singer with Capital Harmonia. Welcome to the show, Jasmin. I'm so happy to have you here with me today.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about this winding journey. How did you get started in tech? And then how did you end up jumping from tech to beauty, which seems like two radically different worlds?
Are different worlds. Yeah, I came here as a college student from Germany and majored in business, ended up staying in the US, getting married, having two children, getting divorced, being a single mom for most of my career. And I landed in tech early on because I loved computer science and it was the early days. It was a smart move because it was very exciting to work in what became what we know now today as the tech industry and to really see it go all the way through the beginnings of the internet to where we are today.
Yeah.
But
Did you actually study tech or was this something you kind of slid into sideways? I know I entered the tech world sideways myself.
I went head on. I wanted to be a business major and majored in BS with an emphasis on marketing. I thought, though, I was going to go in that industry, and so I took all the computer language classes that were available at the time, which was COBOL and Fortran
I
programming
was gonna say, yeah, Fortran.
and card machines a long time ago. And so
Yeah.
I based my skills on what was available in that day and age, but I grew through that industry. And, since I started so early, it was just a constant learning. I mean, my entire career in tech was learn new technologies all the time, hardware,
Yes.
software, applications. It was just, an amazing journey. And I worked with a lot of very talented people. So it was a very good career.
Yeah, I think you need to be a little ADHD in some ways to be in tech because there's always a new something that's coming in that you have to get your arms around. This is not the place for somebody to go, oh, I've mastered it. That's it.
Constant learning. And I was fortunate to work for some big companies. I was at Cisco almost 20 years, and they did a lot of actual formal training, leadership coaching. I was very fortunate to get that breadth of training, sort of a 360 for an executive.
Yeah. Oh, that's a lovely thing. I know I started out my career at Citi and they were really big on raising their executives in-house. And so I'm familiar with the kind of training atmosphere you're talking about. And it's a huge blessing when you can get into a company that has that sort of emphasis, real true emphasis on developing their people. Yeah, I love
Indeed.
that. So you were at Cisco for a while. What moved you out of Cisco?
So when you're in one company a very long time, the opportunities just aren't as plentiful to continue to grow.
Yeah.
And relocation. And I didn't want to do that because I have my two children here in Washington, D.C. So I made a move to another company. You mentioned it earlier, and it was not a good move from a culture matching perspective.
Yes.
a very tough work environment, and it was very, very stressful. I ended up feeling like I was just on the brink of really getting sick from this constant stress, and
Yeah.
realized tech wasn't fun anymore at that moment. So I thought, well, I want to do a second act. I don't have to stay in tech my entire career.
Yeah,
What
well, and the culture will do that to you. I think we talk about the tech industry being tough, but I think the thing that is toughest about the tech industry is you get these highly toxic work environments, or they develop over the years as leadership changes and folds over. And I think that's really what burns us up more than the actual tech work, so to speak.
Absolutely. And at Cisco, I was fortunate. I had really wonderful folks I worked with and worked for. And so I was fortunate to always steer clear of that sort of deep toxicity. And I was able to grow my teams and develop people and make a real impact with my clients. So I was glad about that. But as I said, I made the move to do something new, but it was really a stepping stone because really, truly, what I had always harbored inside was I'd like to do a startup and I'd like to build
Aha.
up, but I didn't do it while my children were smaller because I was a single parent with the full responsibility financially. And so I stayed with corporate because I wanted to make sure I got them,
The paycheck security. Yes, exactly.
their education paid for. And then I thought, this is really a good time to now really do something new. And I had to step away and reflect. So I left the last company on a Friday, and on Saturday morning, I was on a plane to India for a 1 month training class, immersive yoga teacher training
A
certification.
little eat, pray, love kind of.
Yes, it was very much like that, very humble, humble place to stay and very completely immersive, 24
Yeah.
hours. It was great. It gave me a wonderful break from everything to reevaluate really what I wanted to do and where I wanted to take this idea. I want to be in a startup next. So when I came back, my son and I opened a CrossFit gym, which he ran really the business, but I was his silent partner and mentor. And so I started teaching some yoga classes there, and I immediately went into business with two friends to bring really lovely products from Europe that had done very well in the health and wellness space into the US and launched them here. Some nutraceuticals, some great healthy diet foods and supplements, and some beauty products. So I thought this is really great. It's exactly what I want. I want to go into the startup world in a new industry, something that's super exciting, food and wellness. I mean, I love that. So I embarked on that journey, and oh gosh, it was hard. You know,
Yeah.
it
It's a whole different world.
I had been in big company B2B sales, working with the CIOs of big companies and alongside with my teams. And here I was consumer direct, really, and
Yeah, and it's a different rhythm.
completely different market, completely different approach to the market, and not a sliver of it in the sales exec role, but the whole thing.
Well, I think that's the thing a lot of us miss when we come from the big corporate backgrounds is we don't have a clear understanding of how many people it really is taking to row this boat.
Mhm.
And when you go into the startup world, all of a sudden it's me, myself, and I, and we've got accounts payable and legal and marketing and sales and production and operations and administration and oh my heavens.
I mean, you're a jack of all trades, and your
Yeah.
hats are, by the hour when you're in a small business or a startup, as I was. But I learned a lot. I felt a little bit like an intern, to be honest, because it was a whole new industry. It was a whole new market approach. And I didn't have my network of so many years where I had support and the opportunity to exchange ideas and bounce things. And I didn't have that support structure at
Yeah.
all. I was completely new in an industry where nobody knew me.
So, did you connect with any of the local startup support organizations? A lot of universities have incubators and that sort of thing, or SCORE, or that sort of organization.
A year later, this first year, it was a really great learning place because I learned how to put product on market on Amazon, how to set up a distributor for consumer products, how to go into retailers and get your product placed into retail. I learned and did all that. But then a year later, I very serendipitously got connected back to my alma mater, the University of Maryland.
Sure.
There was a new science that had been developed there in the biology department, which is what became the foundation of our company. And the way it works in these bigger universities is scientists, researchers, grad students, professors will come up with something very unique. The
Yeah,
university will file a patent, and then the question is, how does this go to market and become a
exactly. It goes to the what they call the translation office, which is we take the basic science and now we try and find business people who can meet us with it.
at UMD, it's really wonderful. They have a whole office of, now it's called Ventures, has a new name. And one of the functions of the folks there is they have entrepreneurs in residence who are
Yes.
being company owners, and they have to find a CEO for the technologies that are coming out of these very exciting research departments. So that was
Yes.
the technology, Dr. Saul, who is a biology professor, cellular molecular biology, and has always studied just one thing, human aging. That's many things, but that is her focus area,
Yeah.
human aging. She had done all this research and discovered this new ingredient during research into progeria, childhood disease, rapid aging disease. And she
Oh,
was
sure.
working in organs of the children, easiest organ to get cells from, and used an age-old medicine, MBLue, because of its high ability to make the mitochondria healthy.
Hmm.
A treatment, and sure enough, the cells all recovered, as did the adult control groups that she was using. And it was one of those, let's repeat this experiment 3 times because it can't be true. And it
Yeah,
was.
exactly. We don't believe the results. Let's do it again.
The students had made a mistake. She thought they had mixed the cells accidentally. So 3 rounds later, the experiment stood. And so it was time to have a look at this is amazing. It could go to market in a
Yeah,
commercial.
what can we really do with this? Yeah.
So one of the entrepreneurs in residence came home to his wife, who was on the board of the Women's Center with me, and we knew each other well, and said, "Great new technology. I have to find a CEO. This will land in the health and beauty sector, not the pharmaceutical sector. I know no one. I don't know where to go." She said, "I know the exact right person for you." And so
Well, I know somebody who's been selling into that sector for a year now and has got it figured out.
So it's your network. This is one of my biggest messages to everyone. Build your network and make it a 360 network. It doesn't just have to be what supports your job. You want to have a network of multifaceted people that can help you in whatever you might need. Yeah,
Yeah, well, and I think that is maybe a myopia that a lot of us have when we go out networking. We think about who's in our industry, and a lot of times the really interesting stuff is not who's in your industry, but who's playing at the edge of your industry or in a parallel industry or even a totally unrelated industry where there might be crossover and pollination.
exactly. I love that word pollination because it's exactly right. These adjacent industries overlap, and boy, we can all help each other in so many ways. So I got connected to the university, and we did a little bit. Dr. Sa and I did like a 3 months kind of a dating dance with each other where we built the business case. We applied for funding through the state of Maryland's venture fund. We got all the pieces put together that you need to actually start
Get
a company.
started. Yeah.
Process, though, we both very consciously evaluated each other because
Sure.
one of the learned in my other startup with the two friends who happen to be men, this doesn't need to be the indicator, but I like them socially very much, but we really had different value systems in business. And that was
Yeah.
never something I discovered until we worked together.
And that's one thing that I think gets underestimated. It's like, oh, I like these people, will be great. But you don't really know how people are around business and money until you've got them in the space of business and money. And that can be a real eye-opening situation. And in fact, choosing the wrong partner a lot of times can kill the whole deal. Your science can be great, the idea can be great, the marketing can be great, but if you've got the wrong team together, it can be death of the idea.
Absolutely. And so I was fortunate having had the other experience and knew what to look for now
Yeah.
in that new world of building something from the ground up. And she and I are extremely compatible and very complementary in our skill set. We're both mothers. We both have 2 boys. She came from China. I came from Germany. We've all lived here a long time in the US and love building something new. We're agile. We just get things done. So, it was a very good match. And so once that all was decided, we started the company. in August, really, of 2018 with the funding from TEDco. And by January 1st, we had our first product on Amazon, which was
Yay.
fast timeline to do something like this in.
Absolutely. Let me ask you something because we're up on our break, and I think this is what I want people to think about. Did you take some time in between companies to really reflect on the mismatch that you had with your prior founders before you went into this with your new founder? And how did you do that evaluation?
I did. And I had not expected that that would be a mismatch, and so I really was a bit disappointed.
Yeah,
Out. I did. I didn't step away from that business. I actually ran it in parallel for another year with what became MBLue Labs because I wanted to make it successful. I put a lot of time and energy into
sure.
it. And so I had to step away for a big long weekend and walk myself through that and really validate that I'm reading this correctly. And at
Mhm.
the end of the day, nobody's right or wrong here. This is my read for me. And that's the barometer of what I need to work with is my read. And there's nobody right or wrong. They just do things differently. And it doesn't feel ethical to me, it doesn't feel grounded and right. And so that's not something I want to build long term and stay with, is what I
Yeah,
walked away. You need
very
some time
good.
to really have that honest conversation with yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So I think what I'd like to invite the listeners to do over the break here is grab your pen, grab your piece of paper, and it may not be a long weekend. We're having a short break, but you can get started on this exercise. Think about what your values are. Where are your ethical lines? What is the form of your integrity? Because we all have different places where we draw our lines. And think about that so that you have a baseline you can start from when you're evaluating who's in that inner circle of control, who are the co founders, who are your chief operating people, and make sure that those values align. But it all starts with you and what's important to you. So let's begin with that and hang with us. We'll be right back from the break.
Oh, check the loud, the wolf here. Tech is ours and we show no fear. No fear. Oh, no fear. No fear.
Thanks for hanging in with us through the break. This is Zofia Morales. I'm back with the amazing and wonderful Jasmin El Kordi. And I asked you to spend some time over the break thinking about your principles, your values, your ethics, your integrity. What form does that take? And you spent some time with yours. You chose a better co founder the second time that lined up better with those ethics. And you were telling us that you were bringing your first product out together with her on Amazon. Let's talk about what did it take to make that happen and doing this the second time versus doing that the first time. What were some of the differences in timeline and difficulty?
Yeah. So in 2018, and this is true today as well, really to take a new beauty brand into visibility and into market, it was recommended you raise at least $2 million. And we did it with 150,000 from the
Look
state of.
at you go.
We did not follow that model. And so I mean, we're both not from the industry, so we probably had a different lens on, well, let's just pivot over.
Sure.
Amazon, great place to go because when someone looks for anti-aging skincare, they're ready to buy,
Yes.
which you can then advertise to that consumer right there and then instead of doing a big broad television campaign and all the very expensive ways of going.
Right. Or dumping a bunch into Facebook or Pinterest promotion. Yeah.
So we very, very purposely started on Amazon. We grew our business there. The first year we just had one product and then we added on. Now we have 12 products, 7 years since. And it was a really great place because we got customer feedback. You get your
Oh,
reviews,
yeah.
you get what I call customer discovery, which I advise every entrepreneur before you even start a business, you need to discover, is there a customer? What do they want? How would they respond to your product? And that needs to form the basis of the discussion. Do I want to go into market and do something new in a entrepreneurial venture? So the Amazon was great. It also allowed us then to start building our own bluelean.com channel. And then we were going to go into retail and COVID hit. So,
Isn't that always how that goes? So let's look at timeline for a second. Okay, say I'm sitting here with a concept that looks really good. I've got a new supplement that I can use for a particular, what do I want to say, anti-aging challenge. How long should I expect it to take from, okay, I've got this idea, I'm going to find somebody who can put it together for me, who can encapsulate and package it and get it listed on Amazon and all the things?
yeah. So if you're going with a standard formulation that exists, you will find a contract manufacturer, and there are a good number of them that specialize in supplements or health and beauty, topical products or hair products. And they either will sell you what's already existing, an existing formulation, and then you just brand it to your
Right.
name, get it delivered to you, or you can have it shipped directly to Amazon, and then you do your advertising and take it to market. Contract manufacturing usually takes about 12 weeks for a batch of something. And listed on Amazon, it depends. If you're just staying in the lane of, let's say, a vitamin C, that's pretty easy to list. If you're coming up with something brand new, like we did primary research, a new
Yes.
ingredient never done before, you have to learn about what either FDA or FTC will permit you to say about
Yeah.
that. So you stay in the lane of a health and wellness product versus a drug, or an over-the-counter in the middle product. So that will take a little bit of time. If it's a clean, easy product, maybe it'll take you a month to sit on Amazon, kind of back and forth, putting your pictures. So the timeline isn't horrendous if you're using a custom formulation. Now, if you're coming up with your own and you have an idea of, maybe I want to combine aloe vera and hibiscus flower, and oh, and I love this ingredient, and you go to a contract manufacturer and say, please make me something with these ingredients, that will take longer depending on what it is you do. You'll go multiple cycles back and forth on evaluation. That could take you about 9 months
Sure.
until placing that order. And then you have to do all your package design, of course, and figure out where it's getting printed and the boxes. There's a lot of design work on packaging that you have to also do. So the quickest, we did it in 6 months from time we got the money till time we're on Amazon, but that's very accelerated.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say that's a pretty aggressive timeline, which is good, right? You don't want moss growing under your feet in this process either.
You're kind of anxious. You have something very cool new. You want to bring it to market as soon as possible. So I would allow yourself 6 to 9 months to answer
Okay.
your.
And you've done this a couple of times. How did this compare to the first time you put something on Amazon?
Yeah, Amazon is a beautiful platform. It can be very hairy. I mean, it is not, as a seller, for a consumer, it is a wonderful platform because you're 100% protected all the time by Amazon. As a seller, it's really all on you to have a perfect listing that will go with what is now AI reviewing everything, and it won't trip any language issues along the way. It can get very dicey if you don't know what you're doing on Amazon. So when we first started, from my experience with the other company, I had a consultant, a marketing firm, and there are many of them now that
Yeah,
special,
I was going to say, I've heard that there are firms that specialize in getting your product on Amazon.
and they do your advertising for you and everything. And so we used two of them in the food and nutraceuticals company, and the second one was much better and less expensive. So I brought that one with me into the new company, and they really helped us get everything set up. And that was very, very helpful. But we also learned a lot from them. And at some point, about 2 years into it, really, Dr. Sao is an amazing scientist. She's like, I can do this better than they can, really.
Yeah, we've figured it out now. Yes.
We'll run our own optimization on this. We can do this. So if you're going big, I would encourage someone on Amazon to hire an agent to get you going, build the listings, get the ads, the campaign started, evaluate who to advertise against, what key search terms you might want to go after, and all of that. And maybe at some point you'll take it over. Maybe you'll stay with that agent and let them just run it if you can do it profitably.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There's something to be said for hiring the specific expertise that you need. And a lot of times things will seem very simple on their surface, but if you don't know the algorithm, if you don't know the underlying words and triggers and whatever, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble. I've got a buddy who sells its food products onto Amazon. And he was doing it himself for a great many years. And then they changed some stuff on the back end, and he ended up I don't know what they call it, shadow banned or something like that. He ended up having to go get an expert to get him out of the shadow ban.
It's very, very hard. We lost our listing one day. It was shut off for 4 weeks at least on our
Yeah.
hero, the night cream, because of something that I won't even go into the details. It was unforeseen. It happened in the back, and to fix it, you write appeals, and they go to AI, and you're in a loop
Yeah.
until
Until it's booted out to like a real person.
very, very hard when you're in that situation. Yeah. So you have to really, yeah, that goes to your cash flow, right? As a business owner, you better be prepared to have a cushion of X months, whatever you feel is appropriate for your operating cash flow, because these things can happen on Amazon. They can happen anywhere as a brand, a consumer brand.
Oh,
Someone can
sure.
in the public domain and suddenly you have to fight a PR battle. I mean, that can all happen.
Yeah, and even on the back end, a lot of times payment processors and this sort of thing will change their policies, and all of a sudden you've got $40,000 worth of paid for orders that they're not releasing the funds. Like, oh, now what do we do? Yeah,
Yes.
cushion is hugely important.
Mhm.
I'm all for bootstrapping, but you need to leave yourself some space as you're bootstrapping.
Exactly. And so we did that. Bootstrapped, we've grown organically after that little investment from Tedco. We haven't had to raise funds. We've just plowed all our profits back into growing the business. And we still follow a lean startup model. Everything we do is very, very lean and thought through. And we evaluate campaigns for ads constantly and tweak and change and adapt. And that's what it takes if you're then going into social media marketing, which was, of course, our step number 2 after Amazon marketing, which is in our industry extremely crowded. There are 3,000 brands in the beauty space that you're fighting
Oh,
for.
that few. I'd have figured it was more, but yeah, still,
But
that's a lot of competitors.
it's an incredible plethora of marketing messages that come at consumers, and they can't sort out if the hibiscus flower is better than the mustard green. I'm making those up. You know,
Yeah, exactly. But it's sort of in some ways irrelevant, right? Because if you don't have a background in the science, it's very hard to evaluate the claims that are made.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, what would you say are the main lessons that you took with you when you jumped into startup land?
Well, at one point in my month away, before I jumped in, I did a little skills analysis because I was leaving tech and I was going over into a new category. And so I wrote down all my skills. And it was amazing when you really write them down, how they transfer between industries. When you've done a lot of different kinds of functions in a company,
Sure.
everything translates over quite nicely. You just have to learn this whole new technology in the new space that you're going to. And so I encourage people to do that. Write down your skills, think about the new thing you're going after, and do a map. What comes across and what's open, and then think about how you fill that. It could be a business partner that brings that open space. It could be that you go to a class and learn something new. Or it could be you bring in a service provider, an Amazon
Yeah.
aid or tech help service, whatever it is you need.
Yeah, I like that. I like doing the skill inventory because I think it does a few things for you as a woman, but one of them is showing you how you are already competent. Because a lot of us, I know I was raised to think that, well, I always need something else. I always need something else. I need more letters behind my name. I need another certification. And a lot of times you don't need the additional certification. You just need to recognize what you have and how it applies to where you're headed.
One of the big, when I worked in tech, of course, it was in the early days. And so there were 8% of us women in that sector. So the question was always like, so ladies, are you ready to go for that promotion or that other job? Or do you need 100% confidence that you've got the skills? And the answer still always was, oh gosh, women need at least 80% confidence that they can 80% do that job. And maybe 20% they have to learn. Men, you go the other direction, right? They're
Oh,
like,
yeah. Men are like, well, I've run into these words before. I'll do it.
right? But
Yeah.
it's held back because we've always been, I don't know why, but maybe we were taught to think that way, that we have to know it all before we jump. But it's hard to unwrap because it's very instinctual and it's security, right? You know
Yeah.
everything. You can safely go in and make an impact and be successful. But
Yeah.
that's
I think some of it has to do with women are criticized a lot, and
Mhm.
we are not presumed to be competent from the get-go the way a guy is. And so I think some of it is countering that. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, I'm competent. I can prove it. Here are my certifications and all of the experience that I've had. So I think some of it is defensive, but also some of it is we were taught, you need to be perfect. Women, a lot of times, are given this message that you need to be perfect. Perfection is something you should be striving for in your physical appearance and in how you're received in the world. And it's not a realistic goal. And it holds us back in so many ways. I
Mm.
mean, when you take two people and put them at the starting line, a guy and a woman, and the woman needs to be, we'll be generous and say 80% qualified. Most women want to be like 95 or more. But we'll say you've heard this, you've loosened your standards, you're going for 80%. But the guy is willing to jump at 50%. We'll be generous because he'll probably jump at like 5%. But anyway, if you line them up that way, and even if they're getting the same increases every time that they jump, the guy's going to jump sooner and he's going to jump more frequently. And so, of course, there's going to be a pay gap, even if we have standardized, if you do this job, this is what you get paid. And so
Yes.
I would invite you women to let that sink in for a second and realize what we are doing to ourselves because we're concerned about whether people around us think about our competence. Because it's not that you're not competent. Girl, you are so competent. So give yourself the blessing of going for something you're not 100% qualified for. Give yourself the blessing of going for something you're only halfway qualified for, because that's when you really start to make some ground and really start to grow. So we are up on our second break. Love this. With that little pep talk, I hope it wasn't too aggressive. I'd love for you to take your pen and paper and spend a little time around what are your skills? What have you learned to do over the course of your career? You go through it job by job if you need to, and give yourself credit for things that maybe you didn't even have the title for. Because a lot of times, I know about your experience in corporate, but my experience in corporate is I would get a bunch of jobs from other people that I was doing, even though it wasn't part of my job description. Include those because you've been doing it. And hang with us. We'll be right back from the break.
Oh, checked it loud, the wolf here. Tech is ours and we show no fear. No fear. No fear. No fear.
Thanks for hanging in with us through the break. This is Zofia Morales. I'm back with the amazing and wonderful Jasmin El Kordi. And we asked you to spend a little time over the break looking at the skills that you have and what might be translatable into where you're going. But let's talk about what we tell ourselves as we're doing this, Jasmin, because I don't know about your head, but it's noisy in mine and it's not always real positive. So, what did you tell yourself as you were going through this switch? How did you pull yourself out of the days where maybe your brain is in there beating up on you?
Yeah, I mean, we all have that imposter syndrome feeling, right? From time to time, you go into something new. I had it in tech, and I had it going into this market because you doubt yourself. You don't know everything yet, right? You're learning. And so for me, I kind of had a couple of mantras I programmed into my head that helped me get through those more difficult times. And one of them was the voice of my dad, who's been gone for 20 years, but I still hear him say that to me. And when I was little, he would always, if I fell down or I had a problem in school, he would always say, hold your head up high. And that was sort of like, stand up straight. It gave me this feeling of, I can do this regal posture. And so I always held my head up high whenever I would slouch and think about this. Oh gosh, this is not going well. I'm like, just sit up straight, hold your head up high, and you'll get through this because you know you can inside. Listen to that voice. And then The other voice, when I was in my yoga training, we did a lot of breath work, the inhale, exhale, which all of you taking yoga would have heard about. But it really puts your body in the space of openness, that deep inhale, deep exhale. And there's a space where you can then create something new, a new thought, a space where you're not trapped by all the words that are tumbling through you. And so that's the other one I've programmed in my head whenever things get really crazy. Just inhale.
Exhale. Yeah. And it's amazing the difference that makes because we like to think we can think our way out of something like that. And it's actually that your body has been hijacked by a whole bunch of neurochemicals that have you jacked up. And you have to actually go into the body with something like a deep breath and a relaxed inhale to start to shift that production of neurochemicals.
That's really interesting. I did not know that, but that makes so much sense because you immediately can step away. Sometimes I think of myself as just floating out of my body up on a little ledge where I watch myself. And then I kind of talk to me up there, right? So, like,
Yeah.
just when I realize, whoa, this is way bigger than me. I'm trapped in this little problem area here. Let's be much broader with the way we look at things. So I think everyone will find their own tool set, but you need a tool set because you
Yeah.
can't out mentally.
Yeah, and I love that shift in perspective where you float up and look at yourself because that automatically gives you a broader landscape to look at than, standing right next to this molehill that's in your face when you can float away from it and go, oh, it really is a molehill. It's not a mountain, and there are things I can do to get up, over, through, or around it.
And the other thing, I've given this advice a lot to young entrepreneurs, is when there is a tricky situation, step away and ask yourself, is this situation about me or is it situational? Did I contribute to it or is it the situation? And 9 times out of 10, it's the situation that you,
Yeah, and we're so often trained to make it about us. It's like, yeah,
yeah.
no, it's not about you. It's about Amazon changed something on their back end, or it's about that some cargo truck or ship or someplace got hung up and the stuff isn't arriving on time. There's nothing you could have done about that.
And if it's situational, let it go
Yeah,
because only worry about the pieces you can physically actually control in that situation. Those you can worry about. But
yeah,
all the other goals that come with it, they just drag you down into this like self-loathing, self-worry about what should I have done, what is going to happen. Focus on what you can control. And if it's situational, let that emotion go away. It wasn't you, it's the situation. If it was you in that little slice, then just look at how it could have been different. What would you do next time that might change the way that had an outcome?
yeah, I like that. And we had talked earlier about having a few months of cushion, whatever seems most appropriate in your business for your supply line, for your invoice payment cycle. And make sure you have that because that allows you then to take that deep breath and go, we'll be fine while we're waiting for this thing to arrive, whatever the thing is. And I think it makes letting go a lot easier.
Yes, yes. Letting it go at least out of your emotional sphere where you're clutching onto this tightness of what is happening.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to pivot just a little bit and ask you because you went generally into health and beauty, but then you got a lot more specific about longevity. So tell me about the fascination with longevity.
Yes. So when I arrived back at UMD and this world was opening up about skin cell aging, I really got super excited about learning as much as I can about longevity and science. And we now know, and a lot of this is in the media, we now know that we can control with our lifestyle a lot, anywhere from
Yes.
50% of our aging. We know that the mitochondrial function of each human cell is hugely important to the speed with which we age. And we know the factors that will keep us healthy longer, exercise, good sleep, good diet, low stress, those basic building blocks will help physical body stay healthy and live longer. So I'm fascinated by the opportunity that we can do this for our customers with our skin. And now we have a hair product we launched a month ago to regrow hair. We can help them look younger, feel good about themselves when they look in the mirror.
Yes.
Skin reflects and their hair growth will reflect this vibrancy, this more youthful look. So we're bringing that back to people
Yeah.
on.
Well, and one of the things I've noticed, having been through some dramatic health journeys in my life, is that skin, hair, and nails are like the canaries in the coal mine. If you've got a health thing going on there, the first thing that lets go and the last thing that comes back. And I think many of us who've been through cycles of ill health, you don't always get the support that's needed to bring those things back the way
Mhm.
that they could come back. And so you end up in this cycle of, well, and thinner hair and finer hair and weirder hair than you used to have.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the skin is an organ. We sometimes forget that it is the largest organ. It's completely connected to all the other organs in your system. And so it will show what's going on the inside, as you mentioned. But the good news is, with the right approach to lifestyle and good topical products, we can really help reverse those aging symptoms, the wrinkles, the saggy skin, the lack of hydration, and for the hair, the amount of hair growing by giving it its proper nutrition. So for us, that's methylene blue, this age-old medicine that Dr. Sao discovered that is able to reverse the aging of the cell by making the mitochondria, that's the energy power plant of each human cell,
Yes.
making it healthy and also adjusting some of the gene expression inside the skin cell. So it's amazing. And for hair, we stimulate the hair follicle stem cell actually to make new hair with the same compound. So it's amazing what you can do when you tune into your body, you do the right lifestyle things, and then you have access to products, whether they're topical skincare or they're nutraceuticals, things you might take internally to help you boost up your mitochondria. It's really remarkable. And so I'm super excited about the field of longevity because more and more research is coming out that shows us, yes, we can extend life, we can make it really beautiful with products. There is a lot of control we have, and we've patented our science. We have 2 patents already for methylene blue on skin, methylene blue as a UVA, and UVB complete absorber, so sunscreen ingredient that is safe and very effective. And we filed one for the hair regrowth. So our science is all validated. Everything happens. Still, our labs are at the University of Maryland, and there are multiple senior scientists that work in that lab. We have our own scientists in there from MBLue Labs, and they are at the core of human aging and longevity study work on the entire body. It's divided by different scientists into different pieces of the body. And it's just amazing what we're learning. It is truly amazing what science is bringing to the forefront.
I love that. I love that. So we're getting down to the last few minutes of our time today. I know you brought a gift for the listeners. Would you like to share a little bit about that gift?
We would love for you to try out BlueLean. So it's BlueLean. You'll see the bluelean.com, I'm sure, at the bottom of the podcast. And
Yeah, there will be a link in the show description.
that is a plethora of scientific information and product information on our website. I'm going to give you a coupon code so you can try us for 20% off. And that coupon is STEM20. And it's
Yay.
So try us out. There is a 30-day money-back guarantee on everything. If you're not 100% happy, you email us and we refund you. So there's no risk to trying out all of our amazing products. On social, you can follow us. It's under Get Blue Lean. Get Blue Lean, and you'll see all kinds of really interesting reviews from other customers, interesting product science updates, just a lot of really cool content. So follow us on social, learn about the longevity of skin and hair and all the different aging research Dr. Sao is part of at the university. And yeah, we welcome you.
I love that. I love that. I'm looking forward to digging into that a little more deeply. I'm excited about the hair growth because my poor husband, he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's getting so thin. So we may have to use the code on that.
Yeah, feel sad about that.
So, what advice would you give someone who wants to get started on their own company? What are your final words of wisdom here?
Follow your passion. If it is something you feel really passionate about, You will put in the hard work because it will be hard work, and you will create this wonderful opportunity for yourself. Be smart and plan. Really think through a business case. Do customer discovery. Is there a need for your product? Do you have the right solution? And is there a market for it? And then get yourself a little advisory board, some people who can help you really take this forward. It could just be two or three folks, your sort of advisors on the side that help you strategically. Where do you take this product? Do you give up your full-time job, or do you do this as a passion project and you migrate over into it? So those would be my final words. And it is a super exciting journey. I have to tell you, there's nothing like it. There are lots of great highs and there are depths to it. And it is the roller coaster of a small business, of a startup, but it's an amazing journey. So if you're up for that and you have a passion for something, go for it.
I love that. Follow-up question on that. Where are some good places where people can find folks who can be on that advisory council? Where have you found some of yours in the past?
Part of it is your network. You probably have a network today that you're not even thinking about. It could be your neighbor, it could be the dad of the kids that kids play with. It could be a lot of different folks. Just think about where you're going next. And it's amazing. If it's a beauty space, you have a hairdresser, you might have someone you get skincare from. Before you know it, you can tap into people that were maybe just social connections. There's a wonderful organization called entreprenista.com, and you can join Entreprenista. It's about 4,000 women entrepreneurs, many of them solopreneurs, and it's a very vibrant platform. You can meet people, you can look for advisors. In whatever industry you go in, if there's someone in your geography that you think has been very successful, go see them and ask for 30 minutes of their time. People are really, really willing to give you time and just give you some mentoring and insight. And from some of those conversations, you might say, this is really someone I need by my side to continue to guide me forward.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing of your time with us here today. Appreciate that very much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And thank you, dear listeners, for taking time to invest in yourself in listening to this conversation. We hope that it has been helpful to you, that it helps to move you forward on your journey. I would love to hear about that. Hit me up in the comments below this on YouTube, or shoot me an email to Zofia@steminstilettos.com. And I would love to hear what you thought of the show, topics you'd like to see me take on, people you'd like to see me talk to. I would love to hear about your journey and how things are landing for you. I read all the emails. And until next week, go out, be bold, be beautiful, and be authentically you.